Welcome to Missing Persons Case Files, a place where the gone are not the forgotten. What's happening in the forests of North America? How are so many people disappearing only to have their remains found much later, or in many cases, not at all? Are the predators to blame? Giant hair-covered beasts? Or even more terrifying, us as humans? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's neither. These are just a few of the questions we'll look to uncover here on the Missing Persons Case Files.
Garrett Bardsley, born July 24th, 1992. Missing August 20th of 2004. At around 8 a.m. on Friday, August 20th, 2004, 12-year-old Garrett Bardsley and his father, Kevin, got up early while on a Boy Scout camping trip. They headed down to a nearby lake called Disappearance in the Uinta Mountains in Utah for some fishing. The father and son lived in Elk Ridge and were camping with 18 scouts and 6 or 7 adults from Thursday, August 19th, and had planned to leave Saturday. Garrett had managed to get his shoes, pants, and socks soaked with water whilst fishing, and he told his dad he wanted to walk back to change back at camp as he felt uncomfortable in the wet clothes. He told his father he wouldn't be long and soon back at the lake to try and land a fish for breakfast. The rest of their Boy Scout group were camped up the hill at the Disappearance No. 4 campsite, a mere 150 to 250 feet away. They had walked the trail several times before, so Kevin let his son head back to camp while he continued fishing. He thought it was no big deal. Just in case, Kevin kept his eyes on Garrett as he walked around the lake and even shouted directions, reminding Garrett which path would lead him straight back to camp. Then, after 20 minutes, Kevin wondered what was taking his son so long to return. He returned to the camp to see what had happened, and Garrett was nowhere to be seen. None of the other Boy Scouts had seen him at the camp. A huge search of the area, with hundreds of official and unofficial searchers, turned up nothing apart from one of Garrett's Nike socks. The ice fishing pole he had with him was also never located. What happened to Garrett? Did he get lost? Was it an abduction, an animal attack, or something more serious? The campsite was less than a quarter mile from the lake on a well-established path connected with a road another quarter mile away. A family friend said the distance to camp from where they had been fishing was no more than 150 paces. More than 200 volunteers and search and rescue team members searched into the night on Sunday, August 21st, for Garrett, who was wearing a hooded black sweatshirt and reversible black and red sweatpants and white Converse tennis shoes. Additional search and rescue teams from Cache County joined teams from Utah, Salt Lake, Wasatch, and Duchesne counties. He had no provisions or backpack, but was carrying a short black chrome ice fishing pole when he vanished. Hundreds of Summit County Sheriff's Office volunteers and personnel searched on foot, horseback, and with dogs. This effort was scaled back to more than 50 professional search and rescue personnel working on foot after this. The only evidence that searchers found was Garrett's Nike sock 0.5 miles from where he disappeared in a granite boulder field. Summit County Sheriff Dave Edmonds said, "The sock appears that it was taking off of a wet foot, wadded up, very consistent with what we knew about Garrett." Because of where the sock was found, Edmonds said it would be in line with the assumption that he sought shelter in the cold weather, maybe by going into the boulder field for a crevasse or outcropping, something to try to get out of the weather. The mountainous terrain meant the temperature dropped to around 18 degrees the night that Garrett disappeared. The official search for Garrett was called off after 9 days. A 3-mile radius in the rugged mountains from where he was last seen was thoroughly searched. After the official search, the family Many dedicated friends and volunteers continued search efforts, returning at least 2 or 3 times each week until October. Further searches happened after the winter of 2004, but yet turned up nothing. Kevin Bardsley said, "We know that it is often discouraging at the end of the day when we haven't found him or any signs of him. But we want you to know that every area that we search just gets us that much closer to finding him. I've speculated and speculated. I don't know where he is." No other sign of Garrett was found in the area. Did he wander from the area and get lost? Was he abducted? Did a grizzly bear or a mountain lion kill him? No sign of an attack was found. And strangely, even his fishing rod was never found. Perhaps his remains lie in some hidden crevice. So I want to switch up some here. I know when we are researching these missing person cases, we often fall down many, many rabbit holes. But this one is very pertinent to this case. This article says in 2009, now this is 5 years after Garrett Bardsley went missing, which would put him at roughly 17 years old at the time. Detectives say they are investigating a possible sighting in Nevada of Garrett Bardsley, the Boy Scout who disappeared in the Uinta Mountains when he was 12 years old. Nobody has reported seeing Bardsley since the Utah County boy left his father's side to retrieve a dry pair of shoes while fishing near the Mirror Lake Highway in August 2004. But August 3, 2009, the Summit County Sheriff's Office received a tip from the America's Most Wanted television program that Bardsley was spotted with 2 men at a grocery store in Nevada at the end of July. A female in Elko, Nevada, explained that she was 20% sure that she saw Garrett Bardsley in a Smith's in Elko. Summit County Sheriff's Office Detective Ron Bridge said in a telephone interview Monday. "We receive a lot of tips like this, but this one actually came through America's Most Wanted, so it was a little different for us." The Sheriff's Office sent an investigator this month to retrieve video footage from security cameras at Smith's Food and Drug Center in Elko Bridge, he said. "We have seen the Smith's footage from their security cameras. It is not 100% clear, but the possibility of it being Garrett Bardsley is very, very slim," he said. "The men officers are trying to identify also walked by a security camera inside a bank at the store," Bridge explained. "We are still in the process of subpoenaing shopping records and bank video footage." In Elko, Bridge said that Summit County investigator met with the store director at Smith's and local law enforcement officials. "We spoke with them about the people who are in the film, trying to get any information on them from a local law enforcement standpoint, but nobody knew them." The store director in Elko would not comment about the case when reached Tuesday by the park record. "When a person is lost, we literally have hundreds of phone calls into our dispatch center giving us tips. Some people get them from sources that are unorthodox, such as their pet, and some people claiming that they are newly converted psychics. Still, we investigate every tip. For this particular incident, there is video footage. Therefore, we are going to track that down until it is exhausted," Bridge said. Bridge wouldn't say whether the missing boy's father, Kevin Bardsley, has viewed security footage taken from the store. "We are constantly in contact with Mr. Bardsley," Bridge said, "but what we talk to Mr. Bardsley about is simply between law enforcement and Mr. Bardsley." Again, venturing down another rabbit trail that I have found in connection with this case. Well, I don't want to say in connection per se. It's in the same area and happened less than a year after Garrett Bardsley went missing. An 11-year-old boy who vanished from a Boy Scout camp was found alive and in good condition Tuesday after spending 4 days lost in the rugged Utah wilderness. Sheriff Dave Edmonds said Brennan Hawkins was a little dehydrated a little weak, but other than that, he was in very good health. After downing bottles of water and eating all the granola bars carried by a group of volunteer searchers, the boy asked to play a video game on one rescuer's cell phone, sheriff said. Authorities planned to take the youngster to a hospital to be checked out. Thousands of searchers, many of them volunteers, had scoured the area for the boy using long poles to probe a swollen river. The youngster from the Salt Lake City suburb of Bountiful was found just before noon near Lily Lake, about 5 miles from his camp in the Uinta Mountains where he was last seen. He was reunited with his parents and their 4 other children. Brennan carried no food or water, and his family had said he did not have a good sense of direction. But the sheriff said that the nights had been warm, with temperatures falling only into the 50s. The area is about 100 miles northeast of Salt Lake City. It was not immediately clear how he survived or whether he tried to find his way back to camp. He didn't really talk much at all. He just wanted something to eat. Edmonds said investigators will wait until the boy has had time to recover before questioning him. Kay Godfrey, a spokeswoman for the Boy Scouts Great Salt Lake Council, pronounced the boy's rescue a modern-day miracle. Volunteer Forrest Nunley, a 43-year-old house painter from Salt Lake City, said he found Brennan standing in the middle of the trail. He was all muddy and wet. The boy saw some volunteer researchers on horseback, but he didn't want to come out. He was too scared. He was a little delirious. I sat him down and gave him a little food, Nunley said. During the search, rescuers had feared the boy had fallen into a river that was swollen by heavy snowmelt. The East Fork of the Bear River is within 100 yards of the road where the boy was believed to have been walking. Deep water rescue teams searched the river, while others combed the rugged area around it. On Monday, rescuers found 3 socks and a sandal in the river, but none belonged to Brennan. The boy's parents also sifted fruitlessly through enough clothing collected from the mountains to fill the bed of the pickup. Among the volunteer searchers was Kevin Bardsley, whose 12-year-old son, Garrett, vanished last August while camping at a nearby lake. Bardsley was never found despite a week-long search. Kevin is noted in saying, "When we came off this mountain in the winter, my friends and I decided right then if anyone came back missing, we would be there immediately." So this brings in a lot of questions for me comparing these 2 cases, and I did look into it. The area where Brennan Hawkins was found, they were able to get ATVs in there. The area where Garrett Bardsley went missing was more rugged, had more boulder fields. Getting an ATV in there was absolutely ridiculous. There's just no way that would have been able to happen. The difference I see between the 2 cases as well is in the Bardsley case, and I'm not saying you do what you do when a child is missing. You're not thinking straight as a parent, and your only goal is finding your missing child. But they searched a 3-mile radius. Now, and I agree that that's a lot of area to cover. But I'm wondering if the outcome would have been different if they would have searched a little bit farther. Now, again, I'm not there. I wasn't there. I'm not saying what they did was wrong. I'm just wondering, because in the comparison of these 2 cases, this little boy, Brennan, traveled 5 miles away from his camp. So, hypothetically speaking, if Garrett had traveled 5 miles away from his camp and was lost, would he have been found within those other 2 miles or 3 miles or 4 miles? So in the article that I had read concerning Garrett, he wasn't that far away from this lake. He was 393 feet away from where he and his dad were fishing when he was making his way back to camp to change his shoes and his socks. There was a Nike sock found that was wet and wadded up. And if you research this case, you will find that one of the volunteer searchers claimed that sock, saying that it was his, that he had taken it off. But in my opinion, if that were my sock as a searcher and I had taken it off, I wouldn't have left it laying in the ground in similar places that this little boy had his socks. And when they showed the mom the sock that was found, she was 100% sure that that was Garrett's sock. Also, you have a grown man foot compared to a 12-year-old boy. There's going to be a size difference. And I promise you that a grown man will not be able to fit his foot into this child's sock. He had no provisions or backpack. He still had his fishing pole, which, he's not, he's going to come right back, right? Why would I, haphazardly, it's just in his hand when he takes off walking. I don't think there's anything too suspicious about that a lot of people do, but that's, again, it's just my opinion. I really think in my heart of hearts, with his dad having to yell out directions to him to get back to camp, to make sure he was 100% correct about how to get back to camp, I really think that on the way there, he got sidetracked. He got distracted. In a half a second, the woods they all look the same. And you can get turned around in no time flat. And I really think in my heart of hearts that is what happened to Garrett. And if you look at pictures of the area surrounding his camp and the boulder fields, I really think that he had fallen into one of the crevices there and they were unable to find him. It's been 20 years this year. This August, it'll be 20 years. There's never been any sign of him. There's never been any clothing. His fishing pole it hasn't turned up. It's a very bizarre case. It is. And we say it all the time. We say it all the time. Here one minute, gone the next. And I don't think that he was abducted. I know within the other article that I read where this lady called and said, I'm about 20% sure. You got to figure the timeline. This is 5 years from his previous picture. In his previous picture, he has a gap in his front teeth. He is seen with braces. If somebody abducted him and then brought him out into the public 5 years later, he would have to have new clothing. With the braces, I'm not sure how that would work. I really don't feel that was Garrett Bardsley, unfortunately. I really don't think that that's what it was. Now, in this particular area, there are known paranormal happenings. And as the case that you guys just heard from Wayne about Morgan, there 1 second and gone the next. So it's like, it happens, and it happens everywhere with no explanation. I'm researching more cases today, and they are mind-boggling. 25 and 30-year-old men walk into these areas, and they vanish. So within a 3-mile radius, this little boy was looked for by over 200 people, but he is just gone. It doesn't make any sense to me. Do I want to always jump to the conclusion of, well, this was strange, this was paranormal, this was Bigfoot, he just disappeared. It's like he walked into a portal and was gone, and he's been gone. It's gut-wrenching, but I don't really know how else to explain it, except he fell and he lost his life that way, or something paranormal happened. But you have to make that decision. I would love to hear your comments about this. If you have any suggestions for more cases for us to look up, absolutely send them our way. Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. These happen everywhere, every day. So when you go out on a hike, use your brain. Do not leave the trail. With your children, please hold their hand, because in an instant they could be gone. I understand that this little boy was 12 and he was coming into his own, and his dad's probably thinking that way. However, when it comes to even being a mere 393 feet away, he's gone. So please do take care of yourselves when you go out into the woods hiking. I know that that is a very popular pastime, and I think that it can be done safely, and I think it can be done the right way. And sometimes even done the right way, you disappear. It's just, you have to be on guard everywhere you go. But until we talk again, please take care of yourselves and watch out for those little babies. Have a good day.